So, hi, Paul. Thank you for taking some time for this interview today. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. We're in not so sunny the Lake District, north of England today.
Can you introduce yourself, what you do?
So I've been a fashion photographer for 25 years and film director for about 12 years now, since about 2006, so that's 13 years. And I work commercially all around the world, internationally, very busy and mainly more film now. The fashion photography thing is sort of a little bit on the sideline and not as much. Film is pretty much where I am at most of the time.
Can you tell me how you got introduced into meditation and how long ago?
Look, I think with anyone, especially in today, it's such a busy time for a lot of people. I think there's a lot of anxiety. I think stress is importantly something that we need to focus on because it can, cause all sorts of health issues and I think mental instability as well. Anxiety, depression, all those things that people are combating. I think my meditation came back when I was probably, I think my earliest recollection without actually meditating, with having the same feeling, which I've only discovered since I have been meditating, was the same feeling I had when I was probably seven. And 7 or 8, I remember times where I'd just go off into this really Zen place. And it was scared me because I was almost detached from where I was. And I didn't know what that was. I thought, I was going out of my body or something. And it was only when I started meditating, I thought, hey, this is the same feeling as I had when I was a younger child. And it feels beautiful. And as far as meditation goes, I've been meditating probably for on and off for about 20 years, maybe 15 years, something like that. And the reason I started was to just try and get Zen, when you have children and busy lives, etc., is to try and create the stillness. And that's what I was missing in my life. So I'd read some books on how to meditate, but I didn't really sort of get to grips with it. I found it quite complicated and a little bit more. So I decided basically just to try my own method, which is a very simple method. And I remember speaking to one of my clients, an Indian guy, who said to try this method. And we were doing a big campaign for a male suit company in India from Clemenges in Mumbai. And so I took a bit of what he said and then I sort of made it to my own. But
So, what technique did you start with when you first started meditation? And throughout your journey, did you change different techniques or stay the same?
I pretty much came the same technique I've used for years seems to work for me, and it's a very simple technique. I think for me, the main thing is shutting out any external. I mean, your conscious thoughts are obviously the ones where, if you read books or you speak to other people, how do you combat that? Because you need to create stillness, and you need to try and avoid any sort of interference with your conscious mind. So you might be, oh, I never took the laundry out, or I wonder what the kids are. It's very easy when you try and think of nothing for the conscious mind to be talking. And that is because we're used to every day making cognitive thoughts one after the other, one after the other. Because if you can think of everyone's day, there's always, even walking down the street, you're going to be going, oh, did I post the letter? Is that something? And we're used to that all the time. So when we actually go into a place of meditation where we can try and shut off our mind, it's very hard for a lot of people. So what I use is a visual technique and a breathing technique combined. So I basically start with my breathing and prepare myself for some really long, deep breaths. So I breathe in through my nose and I do like 5 holds with a very deep breath, breathing in, and then 5 holds with breathing out. So you hold for 10 seconds or something at the end of each breath. And that basically gives you enough oxygenation, calms the brain, gives you a nice calmness. Um, and then sitting cross-legged, I mean, I sit on a little bit of a cushion because I find it hard to sort of sit in a proper meditation pose. But I sit on a little bit of a cushion, which just takes the hardness off the bottom of your leg, especially if you're going to be meditating for up to an hour. And basically, what I do is imagine the number 50. And then I breathe the number 50 in through my nose and place it into my stomach, really deep down. And then I take the number 50 out and imagine it coming up in through my throat. And then I breathe it out of my mouth and it disappears. And then I breathe in 49. A 49 appears in front of me. And that helps me visualize and stimulate that part of my brain so that I'm not thinking of, did I post the letter, or I forgot to phone my mum, or whatever it may be. So we're keeping busy in our mind, but it's basically monotonous and connecting breath and placing the breath in the same place the whole time and bringing that up. So then the 49 goes down through your nose, in through your throat, place it into your stomach, and then bring it back out, and then comes up through your throat and disappears, and then 48 comes. And you'll find what that does, was certainly for me, it just, you get into a pattern very quickly, and it really does stop you from the subconscious interference. And then the way meditation works for me, and I haven't read a lot of books, but this is my own thing. I mean, I know that it starts from the head and works its way down the body. And the stresses that are in your shoulders, the back of your neck, it might be twitches in your eyes, your earlobes, or whatever it is, and down through your throat. Every, I suppose depending on how stressed you are, it basically just works from the top down. Your back muscles are going to hurt. Then your kidneys might sort of go, oh, they're a bit painful. And the pain, you just have to breathe through. By that technique, you're not breathing into the pain, you're breathing into your stomach the whole time, which neutralizes where the pain is going to be. And the pain is just stored negative stress. In my mind, everything is about energetics, and the whole body works with a flowing energy. If you think of beautiful, everything is liquid. It flows beautiful. If you put liquid into a little container and run it around, it's going to flow. If you move to the right, it'll move to the right. If you move it to the left, water will flow to the left. With stress, we store stress in different ways in different places, and then there's a rigidity and there's a lack of flow. And the flow of energy gets stagnant, and the stagnant can later turn to disease. So we need that flow. In a meditation pose, it's not the perfect position to keep flow because you're cross-legged. I put my hands, and obviously there's different fingers mean different thing. I use my forefinger and my thumb together, which my palms pointing upwards. On my knees, and my elbows come slightly out. So you're not restricting under your armpits. It sort of comes out a little bit. And then the eyes should really be slightly up higher than, so you're not looking down, you're looking up a little bit under your eyelids, which I find it easier to go into meditation that way rather than looking down. But we do tilt our chin just slightly down. And if you had a focus point, for me, is about 1.5 meters in front of me, with that as a head position, and then my eyes go slightly up. So as the pain drifts through your body, it basically is working in a way of eradicating the stressful nature of your body and what you're storing, until it comes to your legs. And most people will find their legs go numb, and then it's uncomfortable and painful. But what's happening is the energy is basically pushing down through your legs, and it should be coming out of the soles of your feet. And all that negative stress, anxiety, the more stressed you are, the harder it's going to be, the more painful it's going to be. So sometimes I can be there for 45 minutes in absolute agony, just breathing through the pain as it goes and manifests down my body through my legs. I sometimes wonder, and I'm not educated enough onto the whole meditation thing. It's not my life, but for me, I sometimes worry if I cut it short that the energy is going to be stored in my legs and it hasn't come out the soles of my feet. So I visualize almost like a ball of energy, negative energy, having coming down through my legs, and I want them to come out the bottom of my feet. If it's too painful and I go, okay, today is not a good day, I can't get my mental strength, then what I'll do is I'll make sure I visualize. I'll stand up and I'll shake my legs, and there's a pose which I sort of bend my neck and put my hands out and go, ah, and then I imagine the vibrations bringing it out of my legs so that I don't just stop and walk away, because I think there's a manifestation. That's me personally. So I'll shake my legs and I'll imagine negative stuff coming out. But when I am in meditation mode and we start to lose our voice, so once we've got all that pain coming out of the body, sometimes it happens before the numbness has gone in your legs. Basically, the feeling of just getting your voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter until you have no voice, and then the body is not a body anymore. It's just a ball of nothingness, really, energy. Sometimes you shake depending on how you can rock backwards and forwards, which is, I suppose, the energy shifts. And sometimes I can find myself rocking like a baby without, it's quite intense sometimes, and then that will stop. But the bliss is what we call it. The bliss is when you've got nothing. You don't feel your body, you don't feel your voice, and it's nothingness. When I say nothingness, it's the peace, the feeling of just being an energy as opposed to a being. You don't have a hand, you don't have a foot, you don't have a leg. There are times when my head feels like, although I can be looking, my eyes closed and I know my head's facing forward, I can be so out of balance that my head feels it's like another 70, 80, 90 degrees facing this way. So in my body, I'm feeling like I'm that. That's because I'm using a lot of my creative brain maybe, and not so much my other side, and the imbalance of stresses within that part of the brain may feel that my body is out of alignment. That's usually a trigger for me to start meditation, because I think we need to feel balanced in the whole thing, with the chakras and everything else, the energy wheels that we have. I mean, I obviously believe heavily that we are all energy. Every cell has a proton, electron, and neutron. There's a lot of frequencies in what we do. There's a lot of people who use the Om and the sound frequencies, which create the universal frequencies, etc., which give us that balance that way. We're all sort of doing the same thing to try and just keep a free energy feeling and trying to eradicate negative storage of energy. So going back to when my head feels like that, after meditation, my head feels back dead straight. I feel aligned, and I come back into my body, if you like, or my feeling. I now have legs and arms and hands, and it's a beautiful Zen feeling. And I think that for your mental, your physical, for your energetic values, for me, it's like a defrag on a computer. It's emptying the trash bin.
One reason I've noticed that when you're on set, you're very calm. You're a very calm person. And then when you start opening up and talking about meditation and stuff, I realize, you've been practicing it for long. That's why, you're quite calm. When something happened, you're like, oh, and then you just deal with it. Nothing really stress you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be careful, because some people internalize, and I think that's the trouble. Like, depending on your personality, you can internalize stress and appear to be calm.
Yep.
Inside, you're bubbling up. I can be one of those people, and I know that, so that I have to, sometimes when I've stored all that stress and not shown it, sometimes it's better to scream in your car and shout and actually get that negative energy out rather than suppress it. So I have I suppose, Yes, I am a lot of the time calm because I try not anything to stress me. But in my earlier days, when I was in my 20s, I had this basically suppression. So that's when I had stomach problems, heartburn, all these things, because the manifestation of stress in my stomach, which was suppression, is basically we want to say to the world, I'm okay, I'm fabulous. And we don't want to show our weaknesses. And stress is a weakness, as we know. And so we keep that behind, down in the pits of the stomach or wherever you're going to put that manifestation. So you have to then change your belief systems as well. So it's not just about meditation. Meditation is fabulous, but how do we live our lives that we actually don't get to a point where we're super, super stressed, manifested with negative energy? And how can we get an energetic body and a healthy energetic aura? And that's, through different people. Everyone has different genetics. Everyone has different ways of dealing with stress and placing it. Some people's stress might be in the muscles in their back. Others are in their neck. Others could be in other parts of their body. And I think meditation is a great defragging key. I don't think, for me, it's not so much about religion. For others, it is. They use religion, and I've seen it very well. I was in a place in Morocco last week where there was someone who basically reads the Quran over any diseases, and that creates a belief system. Whatever belief system creates it for you, whether it's placebo or not, it doesn't matter. And I think, the religion aside, it's all the same thing. Basically, it's creating a belief system that this is going to work for you, and indicating to yourself that you have a problem. And everyone seems to have their own, demons, their own problems, their own anxieties, etc. But you have to say to yourself, if there is something that annoys you. So, for example, um, you know, I've lost money, or I've lost my boyfriend, or my wife hates me, or I hate my wife, or whatever it is. These are all belief systems. I've been married 20 years, and I can guarantee through the eyes of my wife, there'll be things that she hates about me. There's going to be yellow post-its all over my body. Paul snores. Paul is never home. He's always busy. And we can all do that to everyone, our friends and family. We can put post-it notes all over them, which basically suggest that we have a belief system that they are not good people, or they never pay me back when I give them money, or they don't. I don't think they're true, or whatever it is, and that's basically normal, normal living. But imagine life without post-it notes. That you're not putting post-it notes on people, and you're not judging them, and you're not saying nasty things subconsciously, and then suddenly you're feeling as if you don't need to judge, and everyone is one. We're all one. How is that possible? It started off with 2,000 people in a cave after an ice age, with wolves barking outside their cave. We came from those 2,000 people. That's where life comes. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all one. It's only in our minds that we say, don't like your religion, you're richer than me, you're poorer, don't like your particular political values, I don't like your skin color, I don't like you're fat, you're thin, you're gay, you're not gay. All this is just belief systems. And we're all related. We're all one. And that's how we can create badness in our lives, by simply believing in something we read. In a pub, someone might say something, we suddenly believe it. Our belief systems get changed, and as a child, a lot of it is dependent on your parental aspects of creating your belief systems from your parents' belief systems. And we carry that with us. You believe you're scared of a spider, but are you scared of a spider, or is it your belief systems? You've created fear of a spider. Therefore, how would you feel without that belief system that you're scared of a spider? You would no longer be scared of a spider. And let's take that fear and put it into many elements. And that is where I believe my belief system that anxiety and stress comes from, not saying the wrong belief systems, but a belief system that causes stress and anxiety. The body doesn't need stress and doesn't feel that it should have it. So we have many key indicators. We smell the grass, we might think of a childhood. We smell certain things with our senses, and we taste and we feel certain ways. In that same way is the bad things that we've suppressed and we haven't quite dealt with in our past. And those things are triggered on a daily basis. And that's why some people feel anxiety. I mean, they're variant. Everyone's body's different, so I'm not saying this is the key, but it's very, very something I believe, my belief system.
So, for someone who never does meditation, how would you describe to them what meditation is?
Meditation, quite simply, is a formula that can basically help you find the natural state of comfort within your own body and help you to find calm, enlightenment, to see a different perspective, to give your body time to get rid of manifestations. And it gives you when they say Zen, it's a simple word, but when we think of Zen, we think of bliss, we think of balance. And meditation is all about finding balance.
And so, what benefit have you found from meditation, and how does meditation improve your life?
Meditation is, for me, if I haven't got the time to meditate every day, but it's a tool for me to actually sit down and go, hang on, I'm feeling that I'm not balanced. And once I feel not balanced, then I use meditation as a tool to rebalance, reconnect, re-earth, discharge, and really eradicate any or defrag any manifestations, energetic storages of things which could cause me health problems or mental manifestations of anxiety, which I don't want to do. I basically want to live this life fear-free. And I know fear is brought into us, from the word go, when we were obviously animals running around. You need fear to create fight or flight, to run away from lions if they're chasing you. You need that. It's a self-preservation mechanism. We're using that in a totally different way, where some people are running through lions as soon as they wake up. They're running through lions when they're at work. They're running through lions when they're coming home from work. They're running away from lions when they see their wife. So what's happening there is the adrenaline's moving, all the same sort of things that are happening when you're being chased by a lion and you need maximum oxygen to go and run and climb a tree. That fear mechanism is used, and it's called stress. And what we need to do is just try and remove ourselves from that so that we can think coherently. All the blood flows going to all our organs. Because what happens when you're stressed is the blood, I suppose the body works in a way. What needs to be 100% when you're running away from a lion is that you need blood flow, you need oxygen, so the heart is going to increase, and you're going to basically make sure that the blood's going to your legs to run away. Your eyes are dilating so that you can see really, really well, and all those things are happening because of the fear of getting eaten. But imagine you're doing that during the day. The least thing that's going to be happening is digestion. Your bowels are not going to need to be. Do you need your bowels to be working while you're running from a lion? No. Do you need your kidneys to be working really well? Maybe we'll put that on 60%. So it's still working, but it's not 100. So now call that stress and see how the body suffers. And the body's going to suffer because it's not getting all the blood flow and everything else that it needs, because it's anxious. And that's where we start having problems. So every disease, every anxiety and everything must come from a source. And I think meditation, to answer your question, is about realizing that source. You can meditate on certain things. You can have possibly, positive thoughts when you're meditating as well. You can try and use that meditation to heal. There's certain elements, but you can't really, how do I say it? You can't get rid of manifestations unless you're in a peaceful Zen-like mood and state, which comes from meditation. It's very hard.
Do you have any example where you can give people how, like, with since you started meditation again, you've noticed the changes, like are you more calmer, or like different things like that, or you notice like for in your everyday life or in work as well, because you're quite a busy person, and like, do you found that meditation help you to be able to be more productive or more organized, stuff like that? Or?
Yeah, using meditation as a tool to defrag, even if you don't meditate and you're just getting more and more stress, especially with someone like me who's working maybe on 3 jobs at once, and we're trying to produce in the middle of Indonesia, then there's Singapore, Morocco, or wherever it's going to be. Everything has its own pressures, and all of this stuff manifests into your mind and going, it's problem, problem, problem. So meditation to me is a simple mechanism to free any sort of stresses, so that I can think more coherently, and that I can use the tool of meditation. I know it's there. It's almost like if you've got a chaotic and hectic house, but there's one room in that house that you can open and close the door and lie there and be stress free. How many times do you need to go into that room? And that's the question that people need to ask. How hectic is your life? How much do you need that room where you can actually be at peace? And guaranteed everyone would like to go there every day. I don't need to do it every day because I kind of have self-management throughout the day as well. But it might be weekly, it might be fortnightly, I only might need to do it in a month, because I'm changing my belief systems and I'm changing the way I operate during the day. Everyone is different, and everyone needs to actually think of how much they need that sanctuary. Where's their starting point? And then it's like anything. You can start by taking, lots of tablets, or you can start with little bits and build them up until you can get used to them. It's meditation's the same. And it's not, feeling pain is great, because it's almost like you need to go through the pain barrier to release the stress. You can't go for a strong massage and go, oh, that was lovely, if they're getting out there. But this is the thing, you don't need to go for massages if through your mind and through meditation you can release all the stress from your muscles that way. You don't need someone pushing thumbs in and bruising it for relief. And that's what we used to do. And that's the same with medication. It's the source has to be calm. And if it's not calm, then we're going to take tablets, get massage and thumbs to bruise our muscles, to make them relaxed, take tablets to make our manifestations seem better. So, there should be no such thing as illness. There should be no such thing as stress. There should be no such thing as anxiety, but it exists. And it's how we manage it and what tools we use. And meditation is a very strong tool to create more balance.
If you can describe in 3 words about meditation, how would you describe it?
Meditation, to me, in 3 words: balance. I would say for me, it's balance, beauty, and I wouldn't say joy. What would I say? Balance, blissfulness, and balance, blissfulness, and free. I'd say that. Balance, bliss, and free would be my 3 words.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. If you had a goal or you're visualizing, like something, how do you visualize, when you meditate that one? Like, if you want to say, example, you've got a sore throat or something like that, do you use light or what do you use um, to heal yourself with that?
Look, I use different techniques. I think fundamentally, if your belief system believes that you have energy wheels like the chakras, which, is the crown, third eye, etc., etc. Manifestations of disease is through weakness. I mean, I think fundamentally, we think that our head and our gut is connected from when we're in embryo. That's what goes and starts to grow, and then all of our organs come from that, which is basically I suppose the cord between those. That's why when we feel anxious, our stomach usually is the first thing to react. So I'm a great believer that the gut is probably primarily where a lot of our 85% of our whole uh, 85% of our immune system is there. We have an immune system in our brain also. And we have to keep those immune systems pretty much fired. You go with stress, lack of sleep, bad diet, all those things can accumulate to create the gut to overwork, to be undernourished, it's tired, our liver's being overworking because we haven't slept and it's supposed to be firing off at 5, but we didn't go to bed till 3 and it's only had 2 hours rest. So all these things can create some sort of disease. The throat, for example, could be as simple as a virus. A continuing throat problem could be a continuing depletion of energy from the throat chakra. That could be caused from manifestation. It could be a thought which is attached to fear. It could be a thought which is attached to not talking enough. Different people, different personalities. How I combat that, if I get a sore throat, which I very rarely do, but if I do, then through meditation or through just simply lying in bed, I'll imagine possibly light going through, which will be a divine white light, which I sometimes turn into like a ultraviolet color, which is a very safe color to use. I can imagine that going through my body, and I can imagine that clearing the manifestations in my throat and that beautiful bright light flowing through my body. And that seems to help. Obviously, supplements, like zinc and magnesium and things like that, can try and speed it up. I mean, if you read papers on coughs and colds and viruses in general, there's very little you can do. Your body basically needs to repair itself naturally. Some people with influenza A and some Harvey and Ebola and all the viruses which possibly could kill you, that could help to happen to healthy people, and that's how bad I suppose the body reacts to a virus. So healthy people can get viruses, sick people who are not as healthy can get viruses, but it's how we can deal with that energetically. We can go to energy healers, we can heal ourselves, we can meditate, we can visualize. It's creating a belief system that you're going to be ready. You're going to get well. It's a belief system that you're going to get well, and a belief system that something can disappear. And I'll give you an example. I had a lump on my eye, which was a blocked tear gland, basically, where oils had built up. And it's a weakness because as a photographer for years, my belief system is that I've overworked the energetic values of this part of my body. And it's funny that because of that belief system, that this will be, it'll be the eye that creates the weakness in the armor. So when I had that, my wife said to me, "Oh, you've got to get that eye seen to. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger." And I went to an eye doctor, an eye surgeon. They said, "Well, it's a common thing. We can, surgically put you under anesthetic. We can scrape it out, turning the eyelid out, scrape it out, or you could simply live with it." And I went, okay, well, let me just think on it. And I went away, and every night I was visualizing it clearing itself, and basically I was putting warm activating the energy value by putting a warm towel over it, and obviously if there were any oils there, to try and liquidize those oils. And I was imagining the I suppose the oils which were solidified of melting and just coming out, and then suddenly, like within 4 or 5 days, I was getting a lot of discharge coming out my eyes in the morning, and within 2 weeks it would completely disappeared. And he said, you know, doctor said I could have it for life, or I could have it for 6 months, 3 months, it may never go away, and I may need surgery. But that was my belief system, that I could heal it myself through just sheer imagination.
I've come across like a lot of people talking about visualizations and how to heal yourself as well, but a lot of them don't give the example. So that's great that you give an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the freedom of energy, if you look at a whole body as energy, and we look at things that happen cellularly, then we start to get an understanding of how our body works. And at the end of the day, every part of our body, whether it's a twitch in the eye from lack of sleep, to a cramp in your leg, to pain or whatever, the brain is miraculous. It can indicate, it can trigger, it can give you a reminder. You know, it's all connected. So the nervous system obviously runs, you know, very, very well through your body, and it gives you, you know, as a person, it can do things that you don't want to do. Parkinson's, for example, when you have the inability to control muscle twitches and shakes and spasms, it's doing it on its own. So you've got the conscious, the subconscious, the subliminal, the things that are working, which, you know, my belief system is that there are things working. Obviously, the autoimmune system, the um, nervous system is all working behind, doing its own thing, while you're sitting there driving a car thinking about you should be ringing your boyfriend. Of course your heart's beating, of course you're getting rid of, you know, white blood cells are being sent to somewhere and everything. And that's so if we visualize, and we can bring more blood flow to an area, and we can get more energy to an area, there's more chance of that area being loved. And that's another thing where we connect love and we get rid of hatred and things like that. So I think that's another conversation, but positivity connected to a part of a place, which has obviously been inflamed or affected through negative or through depletion. What's the opposite of that? Depletion is manifestation of good energy and good blood flow, negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And then once we do that, maybe what we can do is bring it back to normal.
Yeah. So before like a big project or something like that, do you do your manifestations just, you know, so that the project will go smooth, or do you only mainly do it, you know, for self-healing, for manifestation?
My belief system is strong that everything goes right, and if they don't go right, then my belief systems kick in and go, this is an easy thing to challenge. The same person can have it and it's the end of their world. Another person can have it and go, this is a disaster. I don't know how I'm going to cope with the day. And at the end of the day, it's like, for me, it's like a flowing river that you jump into. So if you think of every job as a river that runs down, some's going to be a full torrent, some are going to be like little streams depending on the job. Once you jump into that river, the worst thing you can do is try and swim upstream, because it's hard work. So you're better off going with the flow the whole time, because it's all going to get to the end result. So why are you going to try and swim upstream, prolong the activities, prolong the pain, feeling the fear of you know, you're not going to go with it. There's only danger at the bottom. It's not. It's all beautiful. It's finished. And it's forgotten in so, you know, short a time. So sometimes we have to meander left and right, but we're always going with the flow, because at the bottom of the river is the end of that job. And let's not, you know, create a manifestation of fear. Let's not create stress.
Mm.
So as long as we're always going down the river, not trying to fight up it, and that's what a lot of people do. Try and turn the other way and run like a buggery because it's the scariest thing. And every job that I do has its own problems, but my belief systems, I've tried to work out that everyone is beautiful. I love everyone on my shoots. No one's horrible, and even if someone's trying to rub me or someone's trying to do something that I dislike, you sort of just deal with it in a very beautiful way and do it with love, compassion, empathy. And then that using those three things, you can't get a negative result out of, because if you're exuding goodness, the only thing that happens is it changes the belief system of the outcome. The outcome can be the same, it can be good or bad, but the way your belief system works, the outcome will always be good, because you can learn from it. You can absorb it, and mistakes that people make every day, you can learn from that. Isn't that fabulous? It's like going to university, the university of life. Sometimes it costs you money, sometimes it costs you a bit of health, but it's a learning experience. And the more we can understand that it's supposed to be a free, energetic, beautiful value, the better. And take away politics and take away religion and take away all those things. It all starts from an energy, and manifestations of the energy create the energy to work in very strange ways, and that can cause illness. And then we have our own problems of how our belief systems deal with illness. But there's a lot of, the environment creates, a lot of stress in its own way. So, using plastics, pesticides, pollution, lack of atmospheric ozone, radiation, electromagnetic fields that we're getting bombarded with every day, bringing in 5Gs and all these things. We've got 100,000 times more electromagnetic field hitting us every day than what our grandparents had. And, we can't see that. So when you've got your phone by your side, or you've got all this electricity blasting around you and you can't see it, and you go, why am I feeling depressed, or why is this, sometimes you've got to look at it and go, well, how is my life, what am I manifesting that I can't see? Sometimes your brain is so susceptible to external radiations of electromagnetic fields, that on its own is a subject worthy of a podcast. I think it's something that we take for granted because we can't see it. As our body, you can't see inside your body, you take it for granted until something goes wrong. So I think the visualization, going back to that, is only one aspect of healing, but you have to create a good environment from what you eat, how you minimize EMFs, blue screens, and all those things. They're all one. Whether you have crystals, like I carry a crystal around with me, and I'll show you a crystal which has been put with energy, and also this, which is an EMF neutralizer, which basically gives balance to anything that's around me. And I carry those in my pocket daily. One, because my belief system in the crystal is an energetic one, and the other one basically prevents from any harmful EMFs coming at me, which changes my energetic value. I want my energetic value to be beautiful. You don't want to go into a flower shop and say, I'll have that dead flower, please. You want the most beautiful one. Okay, so if you had a choice of being the best you, imagine yourself full of life and full of colorful petals, and bees want to swarm around you and butterflies land on you. You don't want to be the one that's discarded and kicked to the back. That's the same. And that's just beautiful energy that exudes color, positivity. Someone's going to pick you as a flower, to want to be your friend, to want to be around. No one wants to be next to the dead flower.
So when you first started your meditations 20 years back, did you got introduced into visualization at the same time, or how did you with your journey, how did you start it? Did you do both at the same time at first, or did you start just meditation first and then within that meditation you start doing visualization?
Meditation and visualization kind of connected, but I believe that visualization is to try and create a positive, and using visualization and meditation together. Meditation puts you in a state of bliss and unpolluted, you know, a reduced polluted mindset, and introducing visualization with a clarity, you can then make that stronger. It's hard to visualize anything. Like if you close your eyes and you're stressed, and I say, just think of a white chair. You know, you're going to think of a white chair, and within a few seconds, you're going to go, oh, I'm thinking of dinner, and then I'm thinking of, oh, if I take my medicine or whatever, and the chair with those polluted thoughts. So in order to be able to think of one thing, which is hoping, you know, that you can use visualization to help others, to create that energy flow that goes outwards, not so much inwards, because a lot of people are so inwards that they forget that in order for you to be healthy and for you to have amazing life, you have to believe that others and help others and visualize them having a beautiful life. It's not about you, it's about them, and it's about the environment. So sometimes it's better to actually visualize a healthier planet and think of it radiating than it is to think of yourself, which it's very selfish. Unless there's something hugely wrong with you, I think you should use your energy and meditation on sick people around you, wanting them to be healthy, poor people, imagining them with money. And then your life becomes more enriched because you're helping others. And through helping others and being empathetic, um, it, it's
Yeah.
not all about you, but you will generally be a better person from it.
Yes, I feel like every time I get to do a big campaign, I get so excited. I'm like, yay! But then a few days later, afterward, I go back to normal. If I win an award, it's the same thing. I get so excited, I go crazy. But then a few days later, I get the same, and I always want to know what is my purpose, and what can I do, to help people, and even like yourself, I'm sure many people don't even know that you meditate, and so like when they realize, they go, oh wow, he does it, and he's so he's so busy, he does that. And when you talk so freely about it, it's not like a thing that only the he does.
Heroes.
Yeah, yeah, so it's like it's a normal thing, you do it so you balance yourself. And because for me, I feel as though I know it in my head, but I can't say it out. And whatever I do for my journey, I can only help one certain type of people that can connect with me. And I interview each person, connect with different. So the young people I interview, they can connect with the younger, student, and also like the mum, the newborn. If they meditate, it connect with people who just had baby, because that's when there's a lot of depression as well going on with the mum. And then people who's in businesses like you, who's very busy, they realize that they should be doing it too. And then so it's all, I find like all different people relate to different things as well. And even
Absolutely. It depends what you're looking at, because if you think of numerology, for example, and I did your numerology and I go, you're lacking number 5, which is blue or whatever it is, color, and your wardrobe all happens to be blue. You're looking for blue, whereas another person will be looking for the color red because that's what they're missing in their numerology or whatever their belief system is. And we're always trying to compensate for something, and sometimes what you're looking for might not be in me, it might be in someone else, because you're pregnant or because you have a certain situation. So I think what you're doing is right, and I think what you're doing is creating a network of people which can look within that network of other people that can respond to what their internal wantings are. But it's very simple, and this is where you know, yes, there's 11,600 diseases, and yes, everyone's going to have different manifestations or what have you. But I'm not saying my answer is for everyone, but this works for me, and it's finding what other people works for them through people like yourself that can introduce different peoples with different belief systems. And it's all about believing. If you believe you're going to be sick, you're going to be sick. If you're a hypochondriac and go, oh, this is the end of the world, do that every day. Guess what? You are going to be sick.
Yeah, yeah, because through my, especially through my journey, like the latest one, the cancer, and even like, you know, with the kids been having autism, I noticed that every time I hear a success story or I hear people journey how they overcome things, I've realized that, you know, like there's, for me, it works like I hear normal people going through it, not just a specialist saying what A, B, C, D, what to do. I can feel there's more motivation. There's things someone can do it, I can do it. So I feel as though that's why, and there's not many people doing about meditation on like different normal people. They always go out and you know, look for people who's a guru or, you know, like a monk or something.
Exactly.
Really, you need just normal people. And even people who've just started like half a year ago, they might experience different than someone who done it for 20 years. But interviewing you, you've done it for 20 years, and I interview someone else who done it 20 years, they're completely different again. And that person might not be able to feel what you feel. And that person, you know, I interview, she only did guided for the last 20 years, and that's how she, you know, deal with it. And so it's just because someone's doing it for 20 years doesn't mean it's the same. And someone could do it for 2 years and pick it up, and they're doing what you're doing.
Correct. Someone could do it in 5 goes and do it.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much for today. I'm so grateful.
My pleasure. Happy to be included, and thank you.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful evening.